Recently a Russian submarine was spotted surfacing near the HMS Queen Elizabeth, the UK's flagship aircraft carrier. What happened when this silent stalker suddenly appeared so close to a major NATO asset? Was it a deliberate provocation or a dangerous accident? And what does this mean for the future of naval warfare? It was a routine operation for the HMS Queen Elizabeth and its accompanying strike group, part of the Royal Navy's efforts to project power and demonstrate the UK's commitment to maintaining security in increasingly contested waters. The presence of a Russian submarine in these waters was not entirely unexpected. After all, Russian naval activities had been intensifying in the North Atlantic. However, the decision by the Russian submarine captain to surface so close to a major NATO asset was surprising and unprecedented, especially in recent years. Upon surfacing, the Russian submarine was immediately detected by the carrier's radar and the accompanying anti-submarine warfare assets, including frigates and helicopters specifically tasked with monitoring for such threats. The incident quickly escalated as the Royal Navy and its NATO allies sought to determine the submarine's intention. The HMS Queen Elizabeth's command quickly assessed the situation, recognizing the potential for a major international incident. The carrier's commanding officer, Captain Ian Fezzi, ordered an immediate increase in the ship's defensive posture. Helicopters equipped with sonar buoys were dispatched to track the submarine's movements, while the accompanying Type 23 frigates prepared to deploy their own ASW systems. Meanwhile, the Russian submarine identified as an Oscar II-class nuclear-powered vessel remained on the surface. Communications were established, but the Russians provided no clear explanation for their actions. This lack of clarity only worsened the tensions as the Royal Navy sought to understand whether this was a deliberate provocation, an accident, or a message of some kind. As the situation unfolded, analysts on both sides of the Atlantic began to speculate about the Russian submarine's true intentions. There were several possible explanations, each with its own implications for international security and naval strategy. One theory is that the Russian submarine surfaced near the HMS Queen Elizabeth as an intentional provocation. In modern military strategy, such an action could serve multiple purposes, both tactically and strategically. First and foremost, by surfacing so close to the UK's most advanced naval asset, the Russians could be signaling their ability to operate in contested waters with relative impunity. The HMS Queen Elizabeth, being a symbol of British naval power and a centerpiece of NATO's maritime strategy, represents a significant target, demonstrating that a Russian submarine could approach it undetected, or at least without immediate interception, could be intended as a clear message. NATO's dominance in the North Atlantic is not unchallenged. This maneuver would also serve as a psychological tool in the geopolitical game between Russia and NATO. It underlines Russia's growing confidence in its naval capabilities and its willingness to assert itself in regions traditionally dominated by Western powers. Such a move would remind NATO that the Russian Navy remains a potent force capable of contest. NATO's control of critical maritime routes. Another reason for such a provocation could be to test NATO's response protocols. By surfacing near the Queen Elizabeth, the Russian sub might have been gauging how quickly and effectively the Royal Navy and its allies would react. The speed, coordination, and the nature of NATO's response could provide valuable intelligence to Russian military planners. This information could be used to refine their strategies for future engagements, whether in peacetime maneuvers or more hostile scenarios. Provocations of this nature are not uncommon in military strategy. They allow one side to assess the readiness and resolve of their adversaries without crossing the threshold into open conflict. The data gathered from such encounters can inform everything from tactical decisions to broader strategic doctrines. The act of surfacing so close to a carrier strike group could also be a demonstration of Russia's technological capabilities. Modern submarines are equipped with advanced stealth technology, making them difficult to detect even for sophisticated ASW systems. By surfacing, the Russian Navy may have been showcasing their effectiveness of their submarine stealth features, implying that they were able to get close to a high-value target like the HMS Queen Elizabeth without even being detected. This demonstration would not only boost the morale of the Russian military but also serve as a form of deterrence. It sends a message to NATO that Russian subs are a serious threat that must be taken into account in any future naval operations. This could influence NATO's strategic planning, forcing them to allocate more resources to ASW capabilities and potentially altering their deployment strategies in the North Atlantic and beyond. On a broader scale, such a provocative act could have significant political implications. It could be seen as a direct challenge to NATO's authority and a way to undermine confidence in the alliance's ability to protect its member states in a time when international alliances are under strain and global power dynamics are shifting. Such an incident could be used by Russia to weaken the resolve of NATO countries, particularly those that are geographically closer to Russia and more directly threatened by its military actions. But what do you think? Was this surfacing an intentional provocation or something else entirely? Let us know in the comments below. While one plausible theory is that the surfacing was a deliberate provocation, several other explanations also need to be considered. These include the possibility of a technical malfunction, an intelligence gathering mission, or even a navigational error. Each of these scenarios offers a different perspective on the event, so let's dive into those possibilities. Subs are marvels of modern engineering designed to operate undetected beneath the ocean surface for extended periods. However, like any complex machinery, they're not immune to technical malfunctions. The possibility that the Russian sub surfaced due to a technical issue is a credible explanation, especially given the age and the operational history of the Oscar II-class submarine. The Oscar II-class subs introduced in the 1980s are intimidating vessels equipped with advanced weaponry and capable of remaining submerged for long periods. However, despite their capabilities, these subs are aging, and maintaining them in peak operation condition presents significant challenges. Components wear out, technology becomes outdated, and the harsh marine environment takes its toll on even the most robust systems. Mechanical Issues in subs can range from minor inconveniences to critical failures. For instance, a problem with a propulsion system could force a sub to the surface, as could issues with a vessel's power supply or oxygen systems. In some cases, submarines have even been known to surface due to malfunctions in their ballast tanks which control buoyancy. Such a malfunction could prevent the sub from maintaining its depth, forcing it to the surface unexpectedly. If the Russian submarine surfaced due to a technical malfunction, it would have been an embarrassing incident for the Russian Navy. Military submarines are expected to operate silently and efficiently, and an unplanned surfacing could expose the vessel to detection and tracking by NATO forces. Moreover, the incident could have compromised the sub's mission where it was a routine patrol, or something more sensitive such as intelligence gathering. The Russian military would likely have been eager to downplay the significance of such a malfunction, both to preserve the credibility of its sub-fleet and to avoid drawing attention to any potential vulnerabilities in the world of military strategy. Is crucial, and admitting to a technical failure could undermine Russia's image as a formidable naval power. From a wider perspective, a technical malfunction in an aging submarine highlights the ongoing challenges faced by militaries that rely on older platforms while newer classes of subs are being developed and deployed. Many navies, including Russia, continue to operate older vessels, ensuring the reliability of these subs requires extensive maintenance and upgrades, which can be costly and time-consuming. But let's talk more about the possibility that the sub was engaged in an intelligence-gathering mission. Subs are often used for reconnaissance, electronic surveillance, and data collection, particularly in contested or strategically significant areas. The vicinity of the sub to the HMS Queen Elizabeth, a key NATO asset, suggests that it could have been attempting to gather valuable information. Some submarines are uniquely suited to intelligence-gathering missions due to their stealth and their ability to operate undetected in enemy waters. They can deploy a variety of sensors and equipment to monitor communications, track ship movements, and even collect electronic signals. In some cases, subs are even equipped with specialized intelligence-gathering tools such as tow arrays or periscopes fitted with advanced optics and electronic sensors. Given the strategic importance of the HMS Queen Elizabeth and its accompanying Strait Group, it is plausible that the Russian sub was tasked with gathering intelligence on NATO's naval capabilities and operational patterns. By surfacing, the sub might have been attempting to use its periscopes or electronic sensors to collect data on the carrier group's movements, communications, or even its radar and defense systems. Intelligence-gathering missions are inherently risky, especially when conducted near an adversary's key assets. If the Russian sub was indeed on such a mission, its unexpected surfacing could indicate that something went wrong. Perhaps the submarine was detected by NATO forces, forcing it to surface to avoid further escalation. Alternatively, the submarine might have been attempting to reposition itself or gather additional data, but miscalculated the timing or the location of its surfacing. The rewards of successful intelligence gathering are significant. By collecting detailed information on NATO's carrier strike group, the Russian military could gain insights into its operational capabilities, including the effectiveness of its ASW defenses, communications protocols, and overall readiness. This information could be used to refine Russian naval tactics or develop countermeasures to NATO strategies. However, the risks are equally high. If the sub's mission was exposed, it could lead to diplomatic fallout and increased tensions between Russia and NATO. The loss of a sub or the compromise of its mission would be a significant setback for the Russian Navy, both operationally and in terms of reputation. If the Russian sub was indeed engaged in intelligence gathering, its vicinity to the HMS Queen Elizabeth underscores the ongoing importance of such missions in modern naval strategy. As naval forces become more sophisticated and interconnected, the ability to gather accurate and timely intelligence will continue to be a critical factor in maintaining a strategic advantage. But what if something else was in question? While less likely, the possibility that the Russian subsurface due to a navigational error cannot be entirely ruled out. Navigational errors, though rare, do happen, particularly in the challenging underwater environment of the North Atlantic. Submarines rely on a combination of sensors, maps, and navigational tools to determine their position, but these systems are not infallible. Navigating a submarine is a complicated and demanding task. Unlike surface vessels, subs cannot rely on GPS signals or visual landmarks to determine their position. Instead, they use a combination of inertial navigation systems, or in sonar and underwater charts. INS relies on accelerometers and gyroscopes to track the sub's movements, but over time, even small errors in measurement can accumulate, leading to a significant discrepancy between the sub's estimated and actual positions. Additionally, sonar systems are used to map the ocean floor and avoid underwater obstacles, but these systems can be affected by various factors, including water temperature, salinity, and the presence of other vessels. In some cases, subs can also use dead reckoning, a method of estimating position based on speed, course, and time. However, dead reckoning is prone to errors, especially over long distances or in areas with strong currents. Given the complexity of underwater navigation, it is conceivable that the Russian sub's crew could have made a mistake that led to the vessel surfacing in an unintended location. Such errors are more likely in challenging environments like the North Atlantic, where underwater terrain is varied and weather conditions can be harsh. If the Russian subsurface due to a navigational error, it would be likely a source of considerable embarrassment for the Russian Navy. Navigational errors can compromise the safety of the sub and its crew, as well as the success of the mission. In this case, the error could have led the sub surfacing near a major NATO asset, creating an unintended and potentially dangerous situation for the Russian military. Admitting to a navigational error could suggest deficiencies in their training equipment or operational procedures. It could also lead to questions about the reliability of their subfleet and their ability to operate effectively in contested waters. From a strategic perspective, a navigational error that results in an unintended encounter with an adversary's forces can have serious consequences. Even if the error is recognized and acknowledged, it could still lead to increased tensions and the potential for miscalculation or escalation. In a worst-case scenario, a navigational error could result in a collision or another incident that could spark a broader conflict. But what exactly happened after the Russian sub surfaced near the HMS Queen Elizabeth? The surfacing of the Russian sub so close to the Queen Elizabeth did not go unnoticed in diplomatic and military circles. Almost immediately, the UK government was looking for answers from Moscow, demanding to know why the sub had been operating so close to its flagship carrier. The Russian government in turn downplayed the incident, insisting that the submarine had been on a routine patrol and that its surfacing was unrelated to the presence of the British carrier. However, the UK and its NATO allies were not satisfied with that explanation. In the days following the incident, NATO forces in the region were placed on heightened alert with additional ASW patrols and surveillance missions conducted to monitor Russian naval activities. The incident led to a flurry of diplomatic exchanges with NATO officials warning Russia against any further provocations. This triggered a reassessment of naval strategies on both sides. From NATO, the incident highlighted the need for improved ASW capabilities and greater coordination among member states. For Russia, the incident was likely seen as a success, demonstrating their ability to challenge NATO forces in their own backyard. However, it also showed the risks of such actions, as any miscalculation could have led to more serious confrontations. Now let's explore two harsh possibilities that could have unfolded. One of the most dangerous possibilities in any submarine encounter is the risk of a collision. Submarines, particularly when operating close to the surface, are vulnerable to colliding with surface vessels, especially in congested or contested waters. If the Russian sub had not been detected in time, a collision with the HMS Queen Elizabeth or one of its escort ships could have occurred. A collision between a sub and a surface vessel, especially one as large and as critical as an aircraft carrier, could have dire consequences for the sub. The impact could result in severe damage or even sinking, leading to the loss of the vessel and its crew. Submarines are designed to withstand certain levels of pressure, but a collision could compromise their hull integrity, resulting in flooding or structural failure. For the surface ship, the damage could vary from minor hull breaches to major structural damage. An aircraft carrier like the HMS Queen Elizabeth is a complex and highly engineered vessel, and even minor damage could impair its operational capabilities. In severe cases, a collision could lead to significant damage to critical systems or propulsion, potentially forcing the carrier to return to port for repairs or, in the worst-case scenario, abandoning its mission. Such a collision would likely escalate tensions dramatically. The immediate response would involve both naval forces scrambling to assess the damage and determine the cause of the incident. The political and military fallout could be significant, with both NATO and Russia potentially blaming each other for the accident. This could lead to heightened diplomatic tensions and a rapid escalation of hostilities, as both sides might view the collision as an intentional act of aggression rather than an accident. Another potential scenario involved the Russian submarine launching a missile attack on the HMS Queen Elizabeth or its escort ships. While this scenario might seem extreme, the risk of miscalculation or accidental escalation cannot be ruled out. Modern subs are equipped with various weapon systems, including ballistic and cruise missiles, which could be used in a high stakes encounter. If the Russian submarine had launched a missile attack, the immediate consequence would be catastrophic. The HMS Queen Elizabeth and its escorts are equipped with advanced defense systems designed to intercept and neutralize missile threats. However, the effectiveness of these systems can be compromised by factors such as missile speed, electronic warfare countermeasures, and the sheer volume of incoming threats. A successful missile strike could cause significant damage to the carrier, potentially resulting in loss of life, mission failure, and extensive damage to the ship systems. The impact on NATO forces would be substantial, both in terms of operational capability and strategic posture. The response to such an attack would be swift and severe, likely involving a coordinated military and diplomatic response from NATO to address the aggression and prevent further escalation. The aftermath of a missile attack would involve a complex series of investigations and retaliatory actions. Both sides would engage in intense diplomatic and military maneuvers with potential repercussions for global security and stability. The incident could provoke a broader conflict with increased military deployments and heightened alert levels across Europe and beyond. So now that we have covered it all, tell us what you think about this particular incident and all these different possibilities in the comments. If you like the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.